Hey guys, it's Kate, and I hope you're having a great day. I thought we would break out some stencils again today because I was thinking, and it had been a while since I have used stencils on my channel. So I have my Mozart Kohlrabi watercolor palette. I've got this Layton watercolor block. I'm trying to use up the sheets in it. And I have these two stencils. I have a very big pattern with these flowers, and I've got a little pattern with these dots. I also have some alcohol ink that I made homemade, haven't used this in a while on a video either, and some modeling paste. You can use gesso or any kind of like thick medium in place of modeling paste if you have those on hand. Anything that will just give you kind of a raised surface. So we're going to start off with the larger stencil, and what I want to do is have kind of a base background. And so I'm working with light blue alcohol ink today. You can use whatever you have on hand, or you can use watercolor. I just wanted to grab this to make it easy. So what I'm going to do is on the lower level of my paper, I'm going to place this stencil where I would like to have it, and I really like these two big flowers kind of right here in the paper area. So I am going to spray my alcohol ink right through the stencil to give myself a background to work on. I'm going to quickly lift that, and we have a really easy, fast background. It's like instant. So now that we've got our alcohol background down, and I'm going to give it, well, actually it feels dry already, so we're ready to move on. I'm going to grab my smaller pattern, which is a good contrast against these big flowers, and I am going to use my modeling paste for this part. So I'm going to grab a little bit out of my jar, and it's kind of thick. And I'm going to put some texture kind of between these flowers. So I have an idea where they are, and so I'm just going to scrape out a little bit of this paste with my palette knife. And I'm just going to have kind of a broken pattern. I'm not going to fill the whole paper. So you'll see just some little raised dots here. And so I'm going to go through and add these to a few different sections of my paper. Right. This leaves a nice texture, and then we need to let this dry completely before moving on to the next step. So I'll see you in just a moment. All right, I am back and we are dry. One thing I didn't think about with this watercolor block, so if you work with alcohol ink like I am, this probably bled through to the next page, and I didn't even think of it before I sprayed it. Usually I'm on a single page taped to a surface, so just keep that in mind. If you're going to use alcohol, you might want to just take the paper out first, or you can use your second sheet or your next sheet down for some kind of other project that has an opaque paint on it, or you can reuse this pattern because you might have it twice. Hey, it's future Kate back cutting in with just a quick note. So I finished this, and the alcohol ink did not bleed through. So we are good to go with this watercolor block. So just an FYI, my alcohol ink didn't bleed. Now your paper may vary, but this block, actually, my next sheet is perfectly clean. So I'm going to go into my palette now, and I want to do this hyacinth violet. And I'm going to grab my little sauce cup that I like to use to mix paint when I am playing with my Kohlrabi palette, because I don't really have a place to mix paint here. I'm going to get some extra water, and I'm going to do kind of a glaze on this paper. So you're going to see it kind of go around these bubbles. I'm going to grab some water, and I'm going to make it more transparent as we get closer to these flowers, because I want these to still show through. And so I'm just going to alternate between dipping into my little sauce cup, and dipping my brush into plain water so that we can get a variety of values here. So I'm going to cover up most of this page, I think, but I'm also going to start transitioning to a blue color. But my darkest pink is going to be where I have my texture. So I'm going to grab some more out of my pan. I'm going to drop it in here, just like this. And so we're going to get some nice variety. And I'm just going in to get water, nothing else. And then I'm going to go into my sauce cup again, put some color here. And I'm trying to work fairly quickly because I don't want to get too much, well, it doesn't really matter with the cauliflower actually, because this whole thing is filled with texture, but I want to get as even of a coating as I can. And then I'm going to come back in to the hyacinth violet and I'm going to start dropping it in to some of these places where I want it to be darker so that we get a really nice little background texture on here. So I'm going to grab some more paint, start dropping it in here and get a nice deep value. And I'm going to let it connect to this middle section and maybe come up into this area a little bit, but we have just a really nice mixture of values here. And I've got one more area here with some of that paint, so I'm just going to let this kind of bleed out as well. But as you can see, I'm sort of leaving my flowery areas that I want to focus on fairly untouched. And then I'm going to go back into my water and just go along some of these edges to smooth them out and kind of encourage this paint flow a bit. This is optional. Everything is, but I want it to be a nice cloudy background. So next I'm going to go into my Payne's Gray and I'm going to darken up straight out of the pan. I'm going to drop a little bit of this here too, and this is just going to tone down that purple a little bit and then also really deepen up that value. And I'm just dropping it on. I'm letting my brush touch the paper to deposit some pigment where it can spread out a bit. And you can really see these areas of the not masking fluid, you can really see these areas of modeling paste start to stand out. I'm going to get some more paint on my brush. I might even let it come out down here a bit. We're just playing with color. And I think this is good to let dry. I can see a little bit of cauliflowering happening here when I put my wet brush over the semi-dry paint. And I'm fine with that. We're going to come back in with some more paint once this dries completely. All right, our paper is all dry and now I'm back into my palette and I am going straight into the black with my small round. This is the number 3 round, and I'm going to work on outlining these flowers that I have. So this is going to be my high contrast area, and I'm going to go straight over these texture spots. And I'm not sure yet whether I want to do a single or double line because I kind of enjoy having a sort of sketchy look on my doodles. And if you want to do this with a marker, you can do that, or a pen or anything you have on hand. You can also color in your petals, I mean, depending on what kind of stencil you use, but I love having this sort of really nice contrasting look. Now, what I think I might also do is add some nice metallic to this to really get it popping. But we're going to start with the black to outline these flowers. And I'm going to go over even the dark areas so you can see where you have these sort of definite borders here where the color didn't really travel too far beyond that. And adding the black here is just really going to help kind of tie everything together and make it united and bring these flowers back up to the front where they belong. All right, I've got all my black outlines done. Now what I'm going to do is activate my metallic purple, and I'm going to use this to add some extra detail into my flowers and into some of my texture. So I've got my small round still, and I'm just sort of activating this color to make it creamy. And I'm going to come in and add that metallic paint to my flower centers and just fill those in to give us a nice little pop for our flowers. And I'm just kind of thinking of where else I would like to have the metallic color. So on these little raised bits, I think I might add a few bits of metallic, so we have it scattered a little bit in our painting, and I'm actually gonna zoom in a little bit so you can see better. So we've got these little raised areas from our stencil, and so I'm just gonna go over the top of some of these darker ones and add a little bit of that metallic paint. And it's going to be a really subtle effect when you kind of turn the paper and look at it. And I'm not coloring in all of the dots, just a few of them. And I might actually add a bit of a warm tone here, maybe some gold or something like that. And actually, I think I will. So I'm going to go into, well, actually, this one is bronze, this one is gold. I think I'll stick with the gold. They're kind of similar, but the bronze just has a little bit more of a rich sort of golden brassy look. But I'm going to stay with the gold color and just get this activated. And I'm going to do a few of these in gold. And I really like that because it just makes them stand out. It just adds that little bit of warmth that we really need in this page. And I think it'll really help to just bring everything together. So I'm just going to scatter through here and add it in. Enough places where it definitely brings out this pattern. And I'm just letting it kind of fall off my brush right onto these little stenciled dots. I think that looks great. Do you want to add any gold to the flower center? Let's give it a shot. It's kind of subtle, but I'll just go for it. And I think we can call this page good. I really love this pattern on the background, and it just has a lot of interest and lots of fun color. Now, you don't have to use the purpley colors like I did, but this is just what I chose today, and I love how this turned out. And the gold especially, I think, just really adds that extra pop that we want. And there's also the purple metallic in here. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. And it's still wet, but it's very sparkly even when it's dry. So I hope you enjoyed this video today. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And until next time, keep creating.